The story that we are tracking at this hour, American President Donald Trump is all set to host his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago this Sunday. The leaders will try and reach an agreement on the Ukraine peace plan. While Donald Trump says the deal feels close, Zelensky has hinted that a lot can be decided before the new year. Our next report tells you what all is there in this high-stakes meeting.
The memory of the public dressing down is still fresh.
He's all dressed up today.
Voices raised.
We gave you military equipment.
Eyes rolled.
Men are brave, but they had to use...
Aspersions cast. This was in February.
You see, I think it's good for the...
All in front of TV cameras, the world saw firsthand how negotiations between the US and Ukraine are unfolding. Difficult, emotional, and tense. A flurry of negotiations continued over months, with Trump seesawing between Zelensky and Putin.
Was Obama, then President Obama, then President...
10 months later, the stage is set for a fifth Trump-Zelensky meet. This comes at a time that Russia's troops have been bombarding Ukraine's eastern and northeastern regions, leaving several cities without power supplies. Ukraine is also striking back. It is targeting Russia's critical energy infrastructure to cripple Moscow's war efforts. Ukraine launched British Storm Shadow missiles and its domestically produced long-range drones to hit Russian targets. As the war drags on, Trump has unleashed an extensive diplomatic push to end the conflict. But his efforts have run into sharply conflicting demands by Moscow and Kyiv. Earlier this week, Zelensky unveiled the revised 20-point draft peace plan. He said Ukraine is willing to withdraw troops from Donbas only if Russia also pulls back. The Ukrainian president proposed that the area must become a demilitarized zone, monitored by international forces. The US and Ukraine have not found common ground on Kyiv ceding its eastern heartland and the future of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is controlled by Russian forces. Russia controls all of Crimea, which it annexed in 2014. About 90% of Donbas, 75% of the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions, and slivers of the Kharkiv, Sumy, Mykolaiv and Dnipropetrovsk regions. The Kremlin says there has been slow but steady progress in the peace talks. But Russia has given no indication that it will agree to any kind of compromise. President Vladimir Putin has laid a fresh condition. While he has shown interest in swapping some Russian-controlled territories, he wants the whole of Donbas. For Trump's billionaire envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Russia is a land of vast natural resources and rich business opportunities. A joint Russian-US management of the nuclear power station is in talks. The US has also expressed an interest in crypto mining near the plant. As the world watches the Sunday crunch talks closely, the million-dollar question is, can Trump force his cards on Zelensky? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, let's get a perspective on this upcoming meeting. I'm joined by Mr. Scott Lucas, Professor of International Politics at the Clinton Institute, University College Dublin. He's joining us from Wicklow, Ireland. Mr. Lucas, thank you very much for speaking with us at WION. I want to start by asking you what you expect in this upcoming meeting. Territorial concessions has been a big roadblock in this peace plan. Do you expect that to be the topmost priority when the two leaders meet?
I think there are three areas that are important here. The first is territory. But what is significant is that Ukraine and its European partners have regained the initiative from the Kremlin. In late October, the Kremlin arranged with Donald Trump's envoys, Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, that they would have an ultimatum to Ukraine to give up all of this Donetsk region, this strategic region you've been hearing about. But Europe and Ukraine were able to work with others in the Trump administration to push back that ultimatum. And now what we are talking about here is is the idea that Russia will not be given this area, but that both Russia and Ukraine will pull back from the current front line and that you established a demilitarized economic zone. So that's an advance for Ukraine and Europe. The second area is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is the largest power plant in Europe with 6 reactors. The Americans and the Kremlin have proposed a split in control amongst the US, Russia, and Ukraine. Ukraine has said, no, that's not possible. They retain sovereignty over the plant, although it might be run by the International Atomic Energy Agency. And the third area is confirmation that reconstruction funds for Ukraine, including Russian assets that have been seized, will be used for Ukraine and not for American profits. I should also add that Ukraine and Europe have been successful in getting the initiative in terms of security guarantees. And that includes not only European security guarantees with troops inside the country, but with America leading air support from neighboring countries. The issue here, I don't think, is Trump versus Zelensky. It's whether whatever comes out of this meeting this weekend, whether there's any chance that Vladimir Putin will agree to it.
Okay. Mr. Lucas, as far as the Donbas region is concerned, Vladimir Putin has made it clear that he wants all of Donbas. Volodymyr Zelensky, on the other hand, has conceded to the American pressure and said that, look, we can have a demilitarized zone. But with Moscow, not really withdrawing from their demand, how do you see this proceeding forward? Zelensky is saying there's a lot that can be decided before the new year. Do you think this could be one of the decisions that will come through in this upcoming meeting?
No, I think the point here is that Ukraine and Europe, as they've had to do throughout this year, go back to Trump and effectively get a proposal, which the Kremlin will then reject. Because let us be clear, Vladimir Putin's not interested in a ceasefire. He has rejected it repeatedly. He's not interested in a negotiated settlement. He has rejected that repeatedly. He said only yesterday at a public meeting that he wants all of the Donbas. That's the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. What happens here is that if and when the Kremlin reject this proposal, then Ukraine and Europe will go back to the Americans and say, okay, we need more pressure on Russia. We need more sanctions, and we need more weapons for Ukraine. And that's the hope of Ukraine and Europe, that Trump will finally see he will not get this Nobel Peace Prize from Putin, and he has to be able to defend Kyiv against the Russian invasion.
Okay. All right. Let's wait and watch how this moves forward and what exactly happens at that Mar-a-Lago meeting. As you say, this could be just a strategy by European allies and Zelensky to make sure that Trump shells out more money and weapons towards Ukraine. Let's wait and watch if that happens. But I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Scott Lucas, for joining us on WION and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.